the hood niggas want to admit it or not, you was bobbing your head to some of these boys' hooks. Because if he wasn't, your girls definitely would. The girls definitely was. Yeah. He got caught in between Jay-Z and X. Yeah. He kind of, people said he tried to sound like X when he's like, yo, I can't really do that. This is my voice. But I'm not the shiny, rich, balling type dude Jay-Z is. But what you're not going to do is say Jeffrey Atkins, JaRule, did make some goddamn hits. And here's the thing. B.Cox, let's talk about his forgotten influence on the game, because he got a lot of flack for coming out singing and being melodic and all of those things. Yeah. And you can't turn on hip-hop now, and all these niggas is singing that, man. Yeah. So let's talk about his forgotten influence.
Man, you know what? It's a shame that whatever happened, and we know what happened. I mean, if you watched the Murder Inc. story on BET, you've seen hip-hop documentary, you've seen the beef stuff, you know what the story is and why this happens. But for those of y'all who don't know, we'll kind of go through it. JaRule, it's a shame to me that people tend to forget his run that he had from when he dropped in 99 until 04, 05. And not just his run, but Murder Inc.'s run as well from during that time period. Because what they did was help to craft a sound that was unique to their own, led by Ja, obviously, but then other artists that were on the label as well. And they had some hits that could stand up with any outfit during that time. And if you put the resume up there, it's kind of hard for me to explain if you weren't there outside during that time. Now, during this time, I was outside, right? I was outside. Because these are my college years when JaRule was dropping his hits, man. Just to talk about what is, and yeah, Mac is right. People would clown or whatever the melodic scene trying to be gruff. Every thug needs a lady. But I tell you what, that verses he had against Fat Joe, and when you hear his songs amongst a certain group in the club or day party, wherever out, damned if everybody ain't singing that joint. Girls and guys.
Talk to him, B.Cox.
I mean, he had the formula down right, no matter how much y'all want to clown him. And it's the cool thing to do once you get a dude like 50, who's a clown prince of hip hop, right? Who wants to clown and troll people and everything else. And he was great at doing that. But when you get into the actual run that they were in, bruh, I'm just going to talk and say a few of these singles. Just a few of them.
Talk your shit.
Beyond just the lead single with Holla Holla. Between Me and You with Christina Milian. Put it on Me with Lil Mo and Vita. I Cry with Lil Mo. Living It Up with Case. Always On Time with Ashanti. Then we got Down Ass Bitch with Charlie Baltimore. Then the remix, Down Ass Chick with Ashanti, Vita, and Charlie Baltimore.
Come on now.
Thug Lovin'. Mesmerize. Wonderful. New York, Caught Up. I mean, I'm running through some singles right here that were absolutely huge hits, and they were big in the club and in the party.
Come on now.
And no matter how much people wanted to say whether they like JaRule or like Murder Inc. or whatever,
give it down.
Like the proof is in the pudding. You know, I was there. And yes, we talk about, okay, there's certain things, there was a certain point in time when we talked to radio superiority, Jay and JaRule are like this and this.
Man.
Now, people may look, you like B.Cox, you telling a goddamn lie. You mean to tell me JaRule and I'm not making an equivalency between the two of them and their greatness as artists, right? As MCs, lyrical. I'm talking about on the radio, Jay and JaRule like this and this during that time. 2000, 2001, 2002, they're like right here.
Yes, sir.
Again, if you weren't there, it's hard for me to explain. It's something that I cannot really tell to. It's like you'd have to go back and look at them damn charts, and you could look at it, right, and show. And ask anybody who was around during that time. I mean, we're talking about hits. Then we're not even just talking about the stuff that he was directly on. Murder Inc. brings in Ashanti. She blows up in 02. Brings on Lloyd 2 years later. He blows up around 03, 04, 05.
Yeah, he did.
You know?
Yeah, he did.
Vita, lots of great features on the Murder Inc. songs. Irv Gotti, for as much of stuff as people want to clown him for the Drink Champs interview and the stuff how basically him still being obsessed with Ashanti, and the man was obsessed with her. He was married and had families and shit and everything. His chops as a businessman and a producer are something that can't be discounted during this run as well.
Okay. So, okay. Talk about
JaRule, man. He really set the table for Murder Inc. to really eat during that 5-year period, like 99 to 04. Now, this is the unfortunate part about this.
Talk to him.
The unfortunate part is this. Somehow the phenomenon of 50 Cent getting signed to Aftermath, Shady Aftermath, Get Rich or Die Trying dropping and becoming one of the biggest debut albums of all time, and G-Unit dropping all the same year, with Get Rich or Die Trying and G-Unit's album being a direct aim at JaRule, Irv Gotti, and Murder Inc.'s head, that landed so perfectly that it killed all the momentum. Because at that point, it's like, by the end of 03, people were like, nigga, you still listening to JaRule, Murder Inc., nigga? Like,
I think if look at you, Aggie, like, bro, what the fuck wrong with you? Put that shit
right.
on.
Exactly. It was seemingly forgotten. So when we talk about JaRule and his run, we tend to forget that because the fall of it was so bad because of how viciously 50 Cent came back after him. But people have to understand the machine that 50 had behind him. Ooh. He had the biggest rapper commercially the biggest rapper in the game behind him.
Come on now.
One of the biggest and best producers of all time, hip-hop producers of all time.
Master Chef.
I mean, if you don't have the cachet of 50 Cent and you don't come out on top, something's wrong, right? Now, Get Rich or Die Trying is still an amazing album. It's incredible. As a matter of fact, as I was telling people, it's another one of those moments when you talk about you having to be there to understand just how big it was. That's one of those moments as well. But unfortunately, Ja kind of got caught up in the mix, and people forgot about him because of that. But then years later, when we hear those songs, man, those songs are still undeniable hits, man. And then not only that, let's go to the flip side of the coin about 50 and all this shit.
Let's go with it.
50 kind of got all the stuff he used to kind of clown JaRule about.
By the time he
was doing the same shit.
Hey, B.Cox, did this nigga start singing on records and shit?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So man, big man. I'm talking about it was music that was good in the car. It was music that was good at what if they had day parties back then, day parties, and it was huge. JaRule definitely needed to get his props, and Murder Inc. needs to get their props for the hits they gave us, man. I mean, that versus lets you know that shit has staying power amongst a certain group of folks, man. And even for those who are a little bit younger than that, they even remember it.
Come on,
that's a true testament about whether or not something's going to last or not. When you can last that long for that big of an audience.
You said that the first chat, B.Cox. B.Cox, stay right there. Let me ask you something though. Now you bring up an interesting thing. 50 Cent just opposed to JaRule. If you really want to be fair and unbiased, who has really the most hit records? I ain't talking about the album. We know he made a monster, Get Rich and Die Trying, and I know his second one was solid.
Yeah.
He don't have the greatest goddamn discography now, people. Yeah. So my thing is, if they did a versus, I think JaRule could cook his ass, man, over with you talking about the volume of hits.
There's an argument to be made, but then people also have to understand, man, that G-Unit run from 03 to 07 was big too. So if Murder Inc.'s big run was 99 to 04, G-Unit's run from 03 to 07 was pretty goddamn big. From Get Rich or Die Trying to Curtis, it was pretty damn big. So if we start talking about comparing really between JaRule and 50, if we're putting it in the format 20 songs, I'll put it to you this. People might think that 50 might cook JaRule, but I'm going to say this. It'll be a whole lot goddamn closer than you think. It'll actually be, I would say, similar to the same way that people thought that Gucci would cook Jeezy in his verses. And Jeezy got in his pocket between motherfucking Thug Motivation 101 all the way up to Recession. And all he had to do was stay in that. And he held Gucci off and cooked his ass in more than a few rounds because of how big those songs were.
Okay.
Not just about the volume of the work that Gucci did. It was about how big those songs during that time were. So that's the reason why I would say it would be a lot closer.
Okay.
If we talked about with JaRule and 50. because 50 has some big hits too. You start bringing in the G Unit hits as well. We got a battle going on. But if you bring JaRule and then his Murder Inc. hits that he was on that he wasn't necessarily on his album, we got a battle going on. So what I'm saying is it'll be a pretty goddamn close and a lot closer than some of y'all actually think. It would be.
Ooh. Well, there it is. Where there it is. Because I would love to say, I'm with you, man. It'll go 12 rounds. It would not. He gonna take them to the mid. Your point, the seismic records, those big ass records, 50 Cent. It's hard to top that shit, man. It's hard to get past that to Curtis, that run. I give you that.
Yeah.
But JaRule got some. He got them uppercuts that's going. He gonna constantly hit you with the uppercuts, man.
Well, what Ja got is the Party in the Club records, especially during that early part of his run. That's going to be undeniable that would get the crowd on his side, man. 50 got some club records as well, but what 50 got on his side is mostly those album tracks and those deep cuts that people have made that have become classic now and they've become cult classics, as a matter of fact. So yeah, it would be a lot closer than I think a lot of y'all would think, for real.
Good stuff, B.Cox. Well said. B.Cox, before we catch a flight to the Midwest, man, I'm gonna ask you something.